Hey everybody, Way Bloodgood here. I want to make a quick video, if that's even possible, to talk about self-image and something that I have struggled with quite a bit in my life, growing up as a child, being unhappy with my body and the way I look, and how that plays such like an effect on me, and me being insecure and me having a story about a lot of different things, about people liking me or wanting to be with me or wanting to love me or caring about me. Because when I look at myself, I'm just a skin and bones toothpick, and I've always been a skinny bones toothpick. I've always been skinny, I've always been tall, I've always been, maybe you could call it tall and petite. My legs are like, look how skinny my legs are. I mean, I'm literally built like an American top model. I mean, there are women out there literally dying to have a physique like this. Not necessarily trying to date one, but they want a body like this. They want these long legs, they want this long, slender body. And to me, I've always just felt completely disgusting in my own skin. I feel like being skinny is not attractive, and that I'm unattractive. And that's a messed up relationship to have with yourself, because it just makes me not like myself the way that I am. And when I was younger, and even like, not so much now, but in my 20s, every time people would always, first thing people say is, oh my God, you're so skinny. Oh my God, you're so skinny. You should eat some food. And it was okay for people to, in public or anywhere, just to say, hey, look you're so skinny, you're so skinny. You should eat, you should eat. I mean, a lot of those people, I could have easily said, hey, look, you're overweight and you probably shouldn't, you should probably put down that cheeseburger with French fries that you got there. But I didn't attack anybody. I just thought to myself, why is me being skinny the first thing that everybody can see, when there's so much more to who I am than just this physical body and the shape that it is, And I just wonder how many other people out there, doesn't matter what shape or size you are, but have an unhealthy relationship with the way that you feel about yourself based off your body and your shape and your sizes, the way that you look. Now, I have been getting a lot better with dealing with loving myself and loving my body how it is, and learning to take care of my body more and do things that will help my body, put on healthier weight. If I want to grow my body to the image that I think everybody thinks is sexy, and everybody wants to be in love with, and everybody wants to marry, and everybody wants to chase around, I have to put in the time, I have to put in the effort, I have to eat the right foods, I have to do the exercising to build up on this frame of mine. Now, I've said for a long time that I'm just disgusted by my body, but I will tell you another story that I have about my body. I look at my body and I have a beautiful structured body. I have these nice wide shoulders. The way that my body is, it's just skin and bones. That's all. If I added some meat and some substance on these bones, I just feel that'd make me feel better about the body I'm walking around in, for me. And I will say that there is these superficial underlying reasons of why I think that I want to achieve that, because I think that if I had more on, that I would be sexier, I would be more attractive, I would be more likable. People wouldn't judge me off my body being that it's thin and that there's something wrong with me. They would be judging my body, wow, you look like you're healthy, or you've got a nice physique. And I guess like hearing compliments, that people say nice things about you, always feel good. But the most important thing I've learned for myself in this journey of trying to love my body and everything that it is, and the white skin and everything, because to be honest with you, like, nothing against being a Caucasian or anything, but it's like, it's not necessarily always my first choice of skin tones that I feel is attractive to me, you know. So and that's just a personal preference. I know it's different for everybody. So I just want to be comfortable in my body. I want to be able to be the authentic me that I am, and not be scared or insecure that because I'm having an issue with me being skinny, or other people think that I'm unhealthy because I'm skinny. The truth is like, I love myself, and in order to love myself completely and wholly in its entirety, I need to love this body that I'm walking around in. And I don't need to be ashamed of it. Doesn't matter what the skin tone is. It doesn't matter what the body shape is. It doesn't matter if I'm short or tall, or slender or broader. None of those things matter. What really matters is me loving me for me, and accepting my body for how it is right now. And if I want to change that physique and that relationship with my body, because that's something I want to do for me, not based off a compliment from somebody else, or because I think that this is what other people think is sexy, but it's because that's what I think is beautiful to me, and I want to be beautiful within my own skin. And the truth be told, I am beautiful in my own skin. It's taken time. I originally, many years ago, wanted to do a video like this, and I just really did not have very good self-image at all. I mean, at least now I can say to myself and say to you guys, like, I do have some beautiful, gorgeous things about my body, and then there's always just that but if I added more weight onto it, it could be even more beautiful. Thing is, just accept the beauty for how it is right now and in its entirety. Even if you got skinny legs that are like, you know, a 13-year-old boy or 13-year-old girl in middle school has, that's okay. It's okay. And that there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't matter what your age is, just to be okay with you and to love you altogether. I find when I love my body for how it is, I feel a lot better in my head about myself, and that encourages me to make the better choices as far as like eating foods that are better for my body, or consistently eating food that allows my body to put on weight. I used to actually starve myself all the time, not like a bulimic, or not like somebody that was anorexic, but like I just literally wouldn't eat any food. I knew I was skinny. I didn't want to lose weight, but I just had a horrible relationship with food, because I had storylines going on since I was a kid that me eating food and eating more food and whatever was a burden on my mom. And she was a single parent for a long time that struggled to put food in the cupboards. And me and my brother, when we were growing up, could just eat a whole bowl of cereal. We could eat a whole box of cereal and a whole gallon of milk in just one sitting. And I just remember her having to struggle a lot for food. And we would stand at Salvation Army and some churches to get free box food, and got some free box food from the government and things like that. And I just always remember I didn't want my mom to be burdened by having to worry about feeding me. And I didn't want that pressure being put on her. So I basically created a story that I don't need to eat that much. And they would always, it's not that there wasn't food available. They would always say, hey, do you want some more food? And I'd be like, no, I'm fine. It's the same thing when they wanted to buy me clothes for the new school year. Hey, do you want new shoes? No, I'm okay. And it would just really be hard for my mom, and I'd make it hard because I'd kind of throw a little tantrum that I don't want you to do anything for me. I don't want that. There'd be times I'm completely starving, and I would go to somebody's house and they'd be like, hey, are you hungry? I'm going to make a sandwich for myself. Do you want one? And even though I was starving and I was in pain and suffering in my own body because I was so hungry and depleted and malnourished in a lot of ways because I wasn't eating a lot of food, I would still say, oh no, I'm fine. And I would say, oh, I just ate something, when I didn't. I would literally tell a lie just to deny myself from eating food. And it was very just an unhealthy thing. And it's taken a lot of mind exercise and a lot of me having a better relationship with myself to have opened the door open to accepting the fact that I can love me how I am, where I am in this point in place. And that can change when I put in the effort and the time to make the change in those areas. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I'd really love to hear from you people out there in the Facebook world that, very interested in knowing, do you maybe have similar feelings that I have as far as like, your self-image? Do you feel good about who you are? Do you feel good about who you are in the entirety? Do you love yourself and your body and how it is right now? And for me, I guess, asking the questions to myself is like, well, what kind of relationship am I having with myself? Do I even like myself? What kind of things am I doing that are detrimental to myself and my body? And I needed to look at those things. And it's taken several years, quite a few years actually, but sounds nice to say several, but it's taken quite a few years for me to really continue to look at myself and have this relationship with myself that has allowed me to really take other people's opinions of me out of the equation. If people want to say I'm skinny now, it doesn't really bother me. People can say anything they want about me and it doesn't bother me, because I know who I am and I know the relationship I'm having with myself, and that is really the most important relationship, and that lays the foundation for all my other relationships in my life. And when people come into my space and in my life, in my area, and they don't respect the boundaries that I've even set for myself, and respecting and honoring myself in the entirety and wholeness of who I am, then I don't really allow myself to continue on in those relationships, or allow those relationships to grow into something that is unwanted, because I've learned that those particular relationships have always been very detrimental to me because of the way that I've processed it. Or even just being around somebody that's negative or always pointing out your faults and your flaws really isn't necessarily helping you in your faults or your flaws. It's nice to get some constructive criticism sometimes, and constructive criticism won't necessarily make you feel like you're being attacked. People can, tell you how they feel without attacking you. And also, when they give you constructive criticism, I believe that comes with constructive solution resolutions. Like, hey, I see that maybe you're starving yourself, and I'm concerned about your well-being, and maybe we can talk more about that relationship you have with you, so I can find out, where you're at with that. And then I have some solutions or resolutions, if you're open to hearing them, that might be able to shift your experience with yourself, where things can start to get better and feel healthier for you, where your life just starts to shift and change, and you start to make different decisions and different choices in the foods you eat and the things you do and the people you hang out with, and the physical activities you engage, and everything that you need to do to create the environment within yourself that feels good to you. Because when you're feeling good, then life tends to give you more things to feel good about. And when you're focused on not liking yourself, life can give me all sorts of great things, but it's hard for me to enjoy them or even embrace them and claim them as my own, because I feel like I don't deserve it, and I reject those things. Or I take these good things and I set them over here on the shelf and I never do anything with them. And it's just like, thanks for the gift, but I'm got a closet full of gifts I've never done anything with. But the cool part is, now I can open that door. All those gifts are in there. I can take each gift out. I can unwrap the gift somebody gave me years ago. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, because now I'm open to receive, and I'm thankful for that. I can receive the love without being in a relationship or a committed relationship with anybody. I can receive the gifts that people have to give me in resolutions or insight or constructive criticism. I can receive the gifts from people that are completely living, in my personal opinion, in a state of complete ignorance. And I don't have to have relationships with those people. I don't have to even try to fix them. Just like me, they're on their own path, and sometimes it's that hard struggling path that leads us to the top of the mountain, and that really leads us through that valley of darkness that brings us back to the light. So I just want y'all to know, I was born in the darkness. I was made in the dark, and it was a spark of light that in the dark that allowed this life to have the energy that's allowed this Wade to come into existence for you all to see and experience. But I will return into the darkness, and I will bring that spark of light with me everywhere I go, because the truth be told, there's so much darkness, and we've always been told that the darkness is bad, and that like there's things to worry and there's things to be afraid of, and that there's monsters in the dark. And believe me, I've lived I've been in places where it's so dark and I'm lost in the woods, and there's times where I'm feeling like werewolves and vampires are like a real thing, and I'm worried about it. You know what I mean? It's like, but I survived all those moments, and there wasn't a werewolf, there wasn't a vampire, and there were a lot of things in the forest that could do something, like real animals that we know about that are out in the woods, like mountain lion or a bear or coyotes or wolves or things like that that can that could attack you and could cause damage. But I was never afraid of those things. I was afraid of these ideas of some monster outside of me that waits in the darkness, and that evil's in the darkness and all of that. And it's not true at all. There's so much great things in the darkness, and there's so much things that you can't see with the light being on. When you tune your eyes in, when you're in the dark places, you can really see so much better than you can even when the light's on. Sometimes the light blinds your ability to see things a certain way. And in the darkness, I found that there's not all that spectrum and angles that can be worked, that it's just this silence of darkness. And then things can really kind of pull out of that when you get into that relationship with it. So these are some of the things that I've done with myself. I had to go into these darker places. I had to look into what I thought was this dark place of mine, but in there is such a great place, and it's not something to be afraid of, and it's not a place that's horrible or bad or evil. I just want to share that with people. Like, this is life, it's the yin and yang of things, the dark with the light, the good and the bad, the love and the hate. Like, we wouldn't really know one without the other. So these things are very important that we have in our life, but like, how do we respond and how do we react to what we feel is dark and what we feel is light? Like, what's our reaction to it? What's our relationship with it? And I found for me, when I have a better understanding and relationship for myself, based off my experience with it, not other people's experiences or other people's ideas of what they think that it is, but my own personal trials and tribulations on my own journey and experiencing it, that's just opened up so much more. And there's a lot of people right now that I'm setting my boundaries, and they're exiting my experience because I'm not open to experiencing that anymore. And there's a bunch of other people that are entering my experience that are places that I would like to experience, and things that I'm interested in experiencing and understanding. And you all that share your stories and share your perspectives and things that you're experiencing too. Like, there's a lot of people sharing things, and I haven't experienced any of those things. And there's also things that people have experienced that I've had completely different experiences with, and I have completely different meanings and even ways to define it that I feel like I don't hear anybody else talking about. And I really don't share those things often at all, for the simple fact that I know I'm having my experience, and I don't want to I think that I'm still working on like using my words in a way that I'm actually saying what I want to say, and not getting things misconstrued by letting emotion or a feeling or me feeling like somebody's doing it in a way that's wrong, or a way that I don't understand. So I just allow everybody to have their own, without me feeling like I need to change it. I really just would more or less just like, wow, that's your experience, that's awesome. Let me share my meaning and my experience with that, and not in judgment of yours or who's right or who's wrong, but for the expansion, for the growth of allowing what already is to be able to be, and allow me to be able to receive it, because it's already all out here existing. There's so many dimensions and realms and levels that we're on. I mean, most of us, we're all on one planet called Earth, but we're all living in our own little worlds. We all have our own little bubbly worlds that we're living in, and there's a lot of people that fit in that bubble, and there's a lot of people that don't. But you can tune into any world that you want, and you can even experience dimensions and levels and realms of worlds that are not necessarily as tangible in this, what people call the 3D experience, this flesh and bone, the essence of the spirit and things that are above and beyond, and it is all in an entirety of itself. But like, it's just, there's so much to it, and I could talk on for a million lives and we would still have more to discuss about it. So I just want to share these things with you. I love you guys. I love myself. I love this body. I love your guys' body. And let's be healthy and let's heal ourselves where we can love ourselves, because having a good, healthy, loving relationship with yourself is the first relationship you need in your life to be able to have that with everybody else in your life, and to be able to have these type of relationships going on in the world. Like, having a healthy relationship with yourself, it will become the normal of what society is. And so a lot of the things that we're dealing with right now, as far as the racism and the the pedophilia and the human trafficking and slavery and just all the abuse that humans can do to themselves and do to others, we're all healing, and it's going to take some time. For some people, their healing is going to happen right now. They've made a decision, they've done the work, and they are already there in this planet right now. And there's a lot of people that aren't there, and those people are screaming that they need this to be different, and they want it to be different, and they want the outside world to show that to them first. And I for me say, show it to myself on the inside first, and I know that it's true, and I know it exists because it exists right here already. And now I just bring that into the world that I'm living, and then it just, your bubble touches my bubble, and we start touching each other's bubble, and all of a sudden the planet and the world, because there's people living in your little worldly bubble, those bubbles will get bigger, and I believe society will get healthier, and we will all tend to have more healthier and loving relationships with ourselves, and that'll allow us to have better relationships with everybody else around us. And just know this too,